Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. We bring you this video segment every single morning to help you catch up with things that you may have missed out on whilst you were catching up on some all-important rest. Because let's face it, whilst you need sleep, I need sleep, the whole world needs sleep, the world of sport doesn't really sleep. There's always something or the other going on, and it can be a little tough to keep a track on every single little happening. But worry not, that's why we're here. We've got you covered, and this is a rather special edition of the morning wrap. Why? Because it feels like the first time in forever, it's been about a month or so, maybe longer, that we're bringing you this update from the confines of the Sports Today studio and not from the comfort of either mine or Siddharth's home. Worry not, wherever it is we're bringing you the news from, the news is still going to be coming your way. And let's start with a rather big one concerning this man right here, MS Thala Dhoni. A lot of people have been wondering when exactly it is that Dhoni is going to be announcing his retirement, because the expectation was that Dhoni is going to be done with the IPL and done with competitive cricket as a whole once this particular IPL comes to an end. And given CSK haven't qualified for the playoffs, it means their campaign is over. But now we've gotten a really big update from CSK CEO Kasi Vishwanathan, who has said that, listen, Dhoni hasn't told us anything yet about his retirement, and we're going to respect what it is that he decides. So right now he hasn't decided. He's told us that in a couple of months' time he'll decide, he'll communicate a decision to us. So what it means is that much like his international retirement, even his T20 retirement or T20 or IPL retirement to be more specific might just be a little bit more of a prolonged affair. Because if you are to believe what Vishwanathan said, Dhoni will communicate the decision to them in a couple of months, which means he's not quite made up his mind just yet. That is interesting to say the least, because after the IPL 2023 final, which he led CSK to their 5th title in, Dhoni had said that I want to come back for one more year. So most assume 2024 done, dusted. Right now though, it seems more like a case of I don't really know where exactly this is going to go. But switching focus now and focusing on teams that have in fact made it to the playoffs, RCB have had a run to the playoff for the ages, winning just one of their first 8 games, then winning just one of their first 8, then going on to win all of their next 6. It is a phenomenal run to say the least, and that is perhaps why Akash Chopra has said that RCB would be the favourites going into the eliminator against Rajasthan Royals. Now, RR obviously have had a major slump in form, which is exactly the opposite of what it is that RCB have had at this point in time. RR in their last 5 matches have lost 4 and have won no result. So definitely not the kind of form you want to be heading into the playoffs with. RCB, however, have all the momentum on their side. They've won 6 games on the trot, and that's perhaps why Akash Chopra believes that they will be the favourites going into that match. Now, speaking of teams also who've qualified for the playoffs, SRH made it to the top 2 and have guaranteed themselves a spot in qualifier 1 versus the Kolkata Knight Riders, thanks in no small part to a blitzkrieg knock from Abhishek Sharma to put the Punjab Kings to sword. And Abhishek has been someone who generally has impressed a lot through the season, and the latest of people to join the chorus of praise and admiration for the young star is Harbhajan Singh, who believes that Abhishek is not only going to, let's say, knock on the India doors, he's going to be banging them down and breaking it down. A big prediction, surely, but given the kind of form that Abhishek has been in, I mean, right now, this season of the IPL, his strike rate is better than that of a Travis Head, which tells you everything you need to know. If he can bat better than Travis Head, someone who's a match winner, proven clutch player in the international arena, then I think it's safe to say that Abhishek definitely will be one to watch out for as far as even the Indian team are concerned. Now, switching our focus, staying in the sport of cricket, but to the realm of international, Andre Russell and Robin Powell have been are notable absentees from the West Indies squad that was recently put out there for the last series that they are going to be playing before the T20 World Cup. Now, that team has a very different look. There are players who are not even part of the T20 World Cup squad who are in it, and it's being captained by Brandon King. And the reason for that is because there's still a fair few West Indian players who are currently in the IPL, and therefore those players haven't been named in the squad. So aside from an Andre Russell and a Robin Powell, you'll not see there is no, let's say, Shervin Rutherford, who's also part of the KKR side. Of course, there's no Shimron Hetmeyer. There's a fair few players who are different. There's even no Nicholas Pooran. So definitely a very interesting looking lineup in that regard. for West Indies' final preparation, but they have respected the fact that a lot of their players will be focused on the IPL for now, and therefore they are not in this particular squad. Switching focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, and we did talk a lot about what Manchester City accomplished last night. I mean, if you haven't seen the video on that, go ahead and check it out later on. And we know who finished second in Arsenal. But of course, these weren't the only major games that took place last night. So we're quickly going to run through some of the more important ones. Chelsea beat Bournemouth 2-1 courtesy of goals from Moises Caicedo and Raheem Sterling to ensure that they finished in 6th place and guaranteed themselves a spot in the European competition next season. It could be the Europa League, it could be the Conference League, we don't know yet. Why exactly? Not going to tell you here because there is a little bit of a video coming up on this particular, let's say, conundrum a little later on in the day. Stay tuned for that one. But what it does represent is a very impressive turnaround for a Chelsea side that started the season pretty badly, were in 10th for most of it, but then ended up finding that surge late in the season to ensure that they will be playing a European competition next season. Another team who, are in European contention, but not at least according to their league spot, Manchester United, who ended their season with a 2-0 win over a Brighton side that, truth be told, haven't really been the best this year and were rocked with the news before the game that their head coach, Roberto De Zerbi, will in fact be leaving come the end of the season. It's a good win for United and it's good momentum, especially when you consider they will be playing the FA Cup final next week against Manchester City. So technically United still, funnily enough, have a chance of making it to Europe. How so? Again, I'm going to tell you in a video that's coming up later on, so stay tuned for that. Liverpool also registered a 2-0 win, this time against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but the game was a bygone conclusion or a foregone conclusion for two reasons. One, because Liverpool were already guaranteed Champions League qualification, and number two, this was going to be the final match for Jurgen Klopp, the manager who has in many ways led the resurgence for Liverpool over the past 7 years and is seen by many as a pivotal figure in the club's revival. Now, Klopp obviously had announced in the end later on this month or earlier this year that he will be leaving, and it will leave a gaping hole. But Klopp was quick to ensure that Liverpool would be more focused on the man who's going to replace him, and that's Arne Slot, the fire-note manager who will be coming in to replace him next season. And Klopp even led the Kop end, say that with a straight face if you can, in song for Arne Slot, which is interesting because Liverpool themselves haven't confirmed that Slot is in, but Slot himself has already confirmed that he will be training Liverpool next season. Switching focus now to the sport of tennis, and Alexander Zverev is now a two-time Italian Open champion. He ended up winning the final in relatively straightforward fashion, won it in straight sets, and it has been a pretty dominant run for Zverev in this particular tournament. Of course, sets him up very nicely for a good run, potentially in the French Open, which is going to begin from 26th of May. Now, in the French Open, of course, there's going to be a lot of things a lot of people are going to be interested in. If you're an Indian fan, there's Rohan Bopanna who's going to be in action in the doubles. Sumit Nagal is going to be in action in the singles, and in fact, he will be in action for the first time. He'll be a first Indian to have qualified for the singles draw of the French Open since Prajnesh Gunneswaran in 2019. So, a 5-year first for Indian tennis. Big moment. There's also going to be focus on Rafael Nadal. This could very well be his final French Open, but Zverev is quietly establishing himself as one of the favorites to potentially go all the way at Roland Garros. More tennis news, and unfortunately not good ones if you're a fan of Emma Raducanu, because her ranking has slipped down so far that she was reliant on getting a wild card for the French Open to actually be able to participate in it. Unfortunately, she was denied that wild card and has thus declined to actually go through the process of the qualifiers. So she'll be sitting out this Grand Slam, and she has said publicly that the focus is going to be on regaining her fitness and form. Remember, she has struggled with fitness issues in the not so recent past, and her form ever since winning the 2021 US Open has sadly fallen off a cliff. One more bit of interesting news, and we discussed this yesterday, but there was an F1 race in the Emilia-Romagna region, and the Imola Grand Prix, or the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, whatever it is you want to call it, was won by Max Verstappen. That doesn't seem like shocking news, but what is surprising is that he was being pushed very hard by McLaren's Lando Norris throughout, and in fact, Lando was very, very close to catching him in the last lap. Unfortunately, in the laps prior to that, he was unable to push, and if he was able to, perhaps could have actually overtaken Verstappen in the last lap and held on to the lead from there and thereabouts. It would have been a phenomenal win. But the good news is that we could at least be in for a little bit of competition in this particular edition of the Formula One season, after both 2022 and 2023 have been rather drab, because Verstappen has led the pack and run away with the championship on both occasions. And that's it from us in this edition of the Morning Wrap with Sports Today. Thank you guys so much for joining us as always. If you enjoy our work, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tap this bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the Sports Today app. And if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. And stay tuned, plenty more coming your way through the day. For now though, from my side, it is goodbye.